Hello everyone, welcome to the online course. My name is Kurt. Today we'll be learning a lesson and as well as an issue that is very close to everyone's life. The topic is called The Story of the Three Plastic Bottles, and the source is from TED Education. Before the section starts, I just wrote a prompt to our almighty AI chatbot. Please illustrate a picture with plastic bottle pollution on Earth. And it gave me the picture like this. As you can see in the picture, the Earth is immersed in the world of plastic bottles, containers, straws, and etc. We always consider that plastic products are very useful for our daily life, so there are massive productions of them. However, plastic bottle pollution has become a global crisis, posing severe threat to ecosystems, wildlife, and human health. The vibrant image of Earth, enveloped by a sea of discarded bottles, highlights the devastating impact of single-use plastic. Have you ever been snorkeling or even scuba diving? It goes without saying that oceans are filled with floating debris, while landscapes are littered with waste, symbolizing humanity's unsustainable habits. Every year, billions of plastic bottles end up in landfills or the environment, breaking down into microplastics that are harming our food chains and the water system. Although plastic products are very convenient, there are some disadvantages that might leave us some troubles to deal with. Here are some facts I would like to share with you. As you can see, here are the statistics from UN of plastic bottle pollution in terms of the bottle productions and the impact on oceans. Please look at the first title. The first one says 400 billion bottles are produced annually, meaning that 1.2 million bottles are being made every single minute. But the sad part is only 9% of all plastic ever produced has been recycled. Let's talk about the impact on oceans by plastic bottles. First, 8 million tons of plastic enter oceans every year. Can you imagine that? You are swimming with those bottles in the ocean. And second, plastic bottles make up 20% of all marine debris, meaning that plastic pieces, and because of those plastic pieces, it is estimated that 1 million marine animals are killed annually due to the plastic pollution because they mistaken the plastic debris as food and they die because of being starving. After a bit of background knowledge of the plastic pollution, we'll begin our journey with these three plastic bottles. I'll divide the section into three parts. In part one, we will be talking about the relationship of plastic and the human. And in part two, we will be watching an authentic video from TED Education channel and the bottle one's journey. For the part three, we will be talking about the journey of the rest two bottles and some reflections from the issue. So let's get started. To start with the section, I would like to ask you a question. Are plastic products you see here is the real situation that I pick from our classroom, and I picked 3 students to answer this question. Let's hear about their opinion. The first student said, yes, plastic makes our lives very convenient because everything are all plastic.
I think this answer is no, because plastic bring positive impact to us because of the future.
However, the second male student said that answer is no, because plastic will bring poisonous thing to us in the future.
Dairy conveying can also be used as a garbage bin. Dairy conveying
And the
can
third
also be
female
used as a
student
garbage
also
bin.
mentioned that the
Dairy
plastic
conveying
products are
can
very
also be
convenient
used as
because
a garbage
it
bin.
can also be used as a garbage
Dairy
bag.
conveying can.
And now I would like to show you guys some screenshots from the video, and let's try to use our imagination to make up a story based on the pictures and see how close we can hit the main idea. So here are picture number 1 to picture number 9. Please take a close look. And here are the picture number 10 to picture number 18. And later, I will invite 18 students to tell their version of the story. And you can also listen to their descriptions and see how much you understand about it. Okay, so let's get started from the first picture.
Three plastic bottles in water an adventure. Overcoming challenges as they search for the meaning of their existence. Three plastic bottles in water
Picture number 2.
The earth is full with plastic footprint. Human cycle on plastic cover earth. The earth is about to become a plastic ball. The earth
Picture number 3.
uses the Earth's resource to extract various substances. Use these substances to make various daily necessities. In the process, people discovered an important substance for making PET bottles. The factory uses the
Picture number 4.
bottles from
polyester in addition to making PET bottles, it can also make various plastic products. This chemical can be found everything in that. Making PET bottles. People started
Picture number
making
5.
plastic products. People use a lot of plastic products. People started
Number 6.
Garbage, plastic, paper, and kitchen waste are thrown together. But people don't.
Number 7.
All the recyclable and non-recyclable garbage into the landfill without any sorting. People dump all the
Number 8.
Landfill has slowly started to flow into many streams, start to heavy rains and flooding, casting pollution at the source. From landfill.
Picture number 9.
Plastic bottle follows along the forest stream into the sea, with small pieces of trash filling up nearby. Over time, the plastic bottle.
Picture number 10.
And a lot of garbage flow down the street to the sea, forming a garbage heap, and then to other countries with the ocean current. Bottles and a lot
Number 11.
was only to eventually end up in the sea turtle's stomach.
Number 12.
Other fish stands will also be eaten. They die from eating by mistake.
Number 13. Number 14.
Arrive on the human's dining table. A human drank the water is during the meal, but the human will unaware that the water contains plastic substance. A plastic bottle.
Number 15. Number 16.
Bottles were transported to the factory. They were placed into a square. They were transported to the garbage dump. These plastic bottles were
Number 17.
will eventually become very small plastic particles due to recycling and incineration.
And the last picture.
Finally, after being recycled many times, the plastic bottle were returned into cloth. Some of them became a bikini, a jacket, and a t-shirt. Finally, after being recycled many
Okay, so
times,
this is the end
plastic
of
bottle
the
were returned
storytelling.
into cloth. Some of them became.
And now I would like to show you the authentic video from the TED Education channel and seeing if the storytelling really goes or match with the video here. So please watch the video closely.
This is the story of 3 plastic bottles, empty and discarded. Their journeys are about to diverge, with outcomes that impact nothing less than the fate of the planet. But they weren't always this way. To understand where these bottles end up, we must first explore their origins. The heroes of our story were conceived in this oil refinery. The plastic in their bodies was formed by chemically bonding oil and gas molecules together to make monomers. In turn, these monomers were bonded into long polymer chains to make plastic, in the form of millions of pellets. Those were melted at manufacturing plants and reformed in molds to create the resilient material that makes up the triplets' bodies. Machines filled the bottles with sweet, bubbly liquid, and they were then wrapped, shipped, bought, opened, consumed, and unceremoniously discarded. And now here they lie, poised at the edge of the unknown. Bottle 1, like hundreds of millions of tons of his plastic brethren, ends up in a landfill. This huge dump expands each day as more trash comes in and continues to take up space. As plastics sit there being compressed amongst layers of other junk, rainwater flows through the waste and absorbs the water-soluble compounds it contains. And some of those are highly toxic. Together, they create a harmful stew called leachate, which can move into groundwater, soil, and streams, poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. It can take Bottle 1 an agonizing 1,000 years to decompose. Bottle 2's journey is stranger, but unfortunately no happier. He floats on a trickle that reaches a stream that flows into a river, and a river that reaches the ocean. After months lost at sea, he's slowly drawn into a massive vortex where trash accumulates, a place known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Here, the ocean's currents have trapped millions of pieces of plastic debris. This is one of 5 plastic-filled gyres in the world's seas, places where the pollutants turn the water into a cloudy plastic soup. Some animals, like seabirds, get entangled in the mess. They and others mistake the brightly colored plastic bits for food. Plastic makes them feel full when they're not, so they starve to death and pass the toxins from the plastic up the food chain. For example, it's eaten by lanternfish. The lanternfish are eaten by squid. The squid are eaten by tuna, and the tuna are eaten by us. And most plastics don't biodegrade, which means they're destined to break down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics, which might rotate in the sea eternally. But Bottle 3 is spared the cruel purgatories of his brothers. A truck brings him to a plant where he and his companions are squeezed flat and compressed into a block. Okay, this sounds pretty bad too, but hang in there. It gets better. The blocks are shredded into tiny pieces, which are washed and melted so they become the raw materials that can be used again. As if by magic, Bottle 3 is now ready to be reborn as something completely new. For this bit of plastic with such humble origins, suddenly, the sky is the limit.
Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2. So first of all, we would like you to watch the video again to review some of the text and contents in the video. Okay, so after viewing the video, I would like to talk about more detailed about the text. So let's look at the new words first. Okay, so the new words here, the first one is discard. Discard. The definition of discard is to throw something away or get rid of it because you no longer want or need it. So as you can see the sentence here, discarded food containers and bottles littered the streets. So when you don't want something and you will like to throw it away, you can also use this word to describe. Okay, let's go to the first paragraph here. This is the story of 3 plastic bottles, empty and discarded. So first of all, the first sentence mentioned that this is a story of 3 plastic bottles, and inside them there is nothing. So it's empty and discarded. So it's been thrown away by people. Their journeys are about to diverge with outcomes that impact nothing less than the fate of the planets. Okay? The second sentence, journey, means the trip. they are going to travel around, no matter to the places they've never been to. Yeah, so journey means trip, and about to diverge. Okay, diverge here means become different. Okay, so they're going to have different directions, different ways to travel with outcomes. Outcome here means result. Okay, that impact nothing less than. Okay, this is a very important phrase. Nothing less than means very important and special. Okay, and fate means destiny of the planet. Of course, the planet means the earth. So where they goes might have a very big influence on the earth. But they weren't always this way. To understand where these bottles end up, we must first explore their origins. But however, maybe if we do it like if we recycle the bottle in the right way, they're like they are not going to affect us in a very big with a very big problem. So it depends on how we deal with the recyclings. So to understand where this bottle end up, first we need to know where they come from. And next paragraph's new words here. The first one is refinery. Refinery refers to a factory where substances in their natural state, such as oil or sugar, are made pure. So in the text, it mentioned oil refineries. The three plastic bottles are from the oil refineries. So you can see the sentence here. There are two huge oil refineries on the coast. And next new word is molecule. Molecule. Molecule means the simplest unit of a chemical substance, usually a group of two or more atoms. So please recall the life when you were in junior high school in the science and chemistry class. The teacher ever taught you that the smallest unit that composed our earth or our things is called atom. Okay, so if there are two or more atoms combining together, then it is called molecule. Molecule. And the next one is monomer. Monomer. Monomer means a chemical substance whose basic molecules can join together to form polymers. Okay, so this is a very chemical term, and you don't have to memorize the meaning, but probably you can try to understand what is it called monomer. And next one is polymer. Polymer refers to a chemical substance consisting of large molecules made from many smaller and simpler molecules. So you can get a basic concept that everything begins with atoms, and then atoms might become molecules. And molecules will connect with each other to become a monomer, and many monomers will also bound together to become polymers. So let's look at the first example sentence here. Many polymers, such as nylon, are artificial. Artificial here means man-made. Okay? And the second sentence you can see here, proteins and DNA are natural polymers. And the last new word here is palette. Palette. Palette refers to a small hard ball or tube-shaped piece of any substance. As you can see, there are some like iron pellets, lead pellets, wax pellets, plastic pellets, and paper pellets. So anything that is small and hard and like a bowl shape, you can call them pellets. Okay, and like when you are eating cookies, and some of the pieces might fall down on your table, and then you can call them cookie pellets or food pellets. Okay, next, let's go to our second paragraph. The heroes of our story were conceived in this oil refinery. So here, hero, of course, it refers to our 3 plastic bottles. So here we are talking about where these bottles are coming from. So conceive here means to given birth to. Okay, so they were given birth from this oil refinery. Then let's look at the next paragraph. The plastic in their bodies was formed by chemically bonding oil and gas molecules together to make monomers. So as you can see, here in the plastic bottle's body, there are 2 molecules. One is oil, one is gas. So these 2 kinds of molecules would bound together. So bound means connect, okay? Connect together. And then in turn, these monomers were bounded into long polymer chains to make plastic in the form of millions of pellets. So you can see in turn, these monomer were bounded. They connect together again into a long polymer, as you can see on the photo here, and they are called polymer chains. Chains, it means very long lines, and to make plastic in the form of millions of pellets. And the next, here is another new words for the next paragraph. It is called mold. Okay, mold. But that is different spellings in British English and American English. So in different English systems, they have different spellings. So mold and mould, they both means the same thing. So it's a hollow container with a particular shape into which soft or liquid substance are poured, so that when the substance becomes hard, it takes the shape of the container. So you can recall, if you have the experience of making puddings, then you pour the liquid inside the mold, and then when you put the pudding into the refrigerator after hours, the pudding become a little bit hard, and then you can pour out the puddings out of the mold. So the things that we try to make pudding or jelly is called a cake or jelly mold. And the second new word is called resilient. Resilient. It's an adjective. And it means able to quickly return to its usual shape after being bent, stretched, or pressed. So you can try to recall that when you have a plastic bottle, especially after you drink the mineral water, you can easily squeeze it. And some of the materials are very resilient. So after you squeeze it, then it will return to its original shape. So you can look at the first example sentence. The rubber ball is very resilient and immediately springs back into shape. Okay, so resilience also has the meaning of flexible. Next one is quite a long word for you to know. Unceremoniously. Unceremoniously. Here, unceremoniously means in a way what is unceremonious. So what does unceremonious mean? It means rude, sudden, or informal. So basically, it's a very negative word. Okay, so he was unceremoniously removed from the list of members for gross misconduct. So you can look at the first sentence here, unceremoniously. And the second one is she was unceremoniously dropped from the team. And next one is poise. Poise. Poise means calm confidence in a person's way of behaving or a quality of grace and balance in the way a person holds or moves their body. So it is used to describe when you see those discarded plastic bottles standing on the edge of the street or the corners. Their situation is like poising or balancing out there without any movement. Okay, so they use this word to describe the situation of the plastic bottles. And for the example sentence number 1, he looked embarrassed for a moment, then quickly regained his poise. So poise also means calm and the confidence. The second sentence said her confidence and poise show that she is a top model. Okay, so poise here is kind of very positive word. However, it is used to describe plastic bottles in a not very good way. So you will see it in the paragraphs. So let's talk about how were these 3 plastic bottles were produced. Those were melted at manufacturing plants and reformed in molds to create a resilient material that makes up the triplets bodies. Okay, so those were melted. Those here means the pellets that we just mentioned, the little hard round plastic balls were melted at the manufacturing plants. So manufacturing is the place where they are made, okay, and reformed in molds because they are being burned. So those pellets become liquids. So it's reformed in the molds and create the resilient material. So that's why the body of the plastic bottles are very resilient, because the material that makes up the triplets body. Okay, triplets here means 3 babies were born at the same time. We call them triplets. So if 2 babies were born in the same time, we call them twins. So if there are another one, 3 ones were born at the same time, we call them triplets. So it's a metaphor for these 3 plastic bottles. Next paragraph. Machines filled with bottles with sweet, bubbly liquids, and they were then wrapped, shipped, bought, opened, consumed, and unceremoniously discarded. Okay, so when the bottle was formed, it's empty inside. So the owner of the manufacturing plants is going to fill up the bottles with sweet bubbly liquid. So you can imagine something like Coke, something like Sprite, something like soda, okay? And they were then wrapped, shipped, bought, opened, consumed, unceremoniously discarded. So they are being packed and they are being shipped to other places for sale, and they were bought by people, opened by people who want to drink, and then consumed, and then finish drinking. And some of the people, they just throw the bottles away, not in a very proper position or not a proper place. So it is described unceremoniously discarded. And now here they lie. Lie here means to lie down, or this is the verb, to lie down on the ground. Boys at the age of the unknown. So sometimes we'll see at the corner or some places that is quite we might not see on the street, on the corner. Maybe you will find some of the plastic bottles lying on the ground. And next, brethren. Brethren is a word that especially we might use in a religious group, and it is similar to what we call brothers. Okay, so like in a church, we will call some of the companions brethren in order to show our respect. Okay, so those are referring to the members of an organization or religious group. Next word is landfill. Landfill. Landfill is the process of getting rid of large amount of rubbish by burying it, or a place where rubbish is buried. So this is commonly seen in our daily life, because whenever you throw your trash away on the trash truck, and the trash truck will bring your trash to the landfill. Okay, so please look at the first sentence. 90% of American rubbish is dumped in a landfill sites. Next one, water soluble. Water soluble. So based on the literal meaning here, you can understand something that is soluble in the water. Okay, so a water soluble substance can dissolve in water. And you can see the example sentence here. Are these tablets water soluble? Next word is toxic. Toxic. Toxic more means poisonous. Okay, so when you are making some chemical stuff, or maybe some experiments, there might be some substance very toxic to our human body. Okay, so please be careful when you are doing some experiments. And here we can also use toxic with waste. Okay, like some of the power plants, they might release some toxic waste or toxic chemicals when you are doing the experiments. Okay, so let's look at the next paragraph talking about bottle number 1. Bottle 1, like hundreds of millions of the tons of his plastic brethren, ends up in the landfill. So for the normal process of the trash that go into the landfill, it's just like hundreds of millions of tons of plastic brethren. They finish their life in the landfill. The huge dump expands each day as more trash comes in and continues to take up space. So every day, the trash trucks come and go, comes and goes. They bring a lot of trash from people and they dump in the landfill. So it continues to take up space. As plastics sit there being compressed amongst layers of other junks. So you can see the picture here. At the bottom, there are a lot of plastic products, including the bottles and some of like milk bottles and also some tires, and they are being compressed, being squeezed by more and more new trash, like the one you can see the sofas, even bathtub and closets, they are being compressed. And rainwater flows through the waste and absorb the water-soluble compounds. Okay, so when it's raining, the water will flow through the upper layers to the lower levels. So the water will absorb the water soluble compounds from this trash, and that will contain some of those highly toxic stuff inside the water. Okay, so what will happen? Let's look at the new words first. Leachate. Leachate. Leachate means the liquid that takes the substance from the material through which it passes, often making the liquid harmful or poisonous. So you can imagine that the rainfall, when they absorb the water-soluble compounds from those trash, probably some of them are highly toxic, and then the water become leachate. So you can look at the first sentence saying residents worry that leachate from the landfill might eventually contaminate their water source. And this is how we are very worried about in daily life, because if we don't do recycle really well, the water from the landfill might really contaminate it. So we should be really careful about the recycling. Then let's look at the next paragraph. Together, they create a harmful stew called leachate. So as you can see in the photo, the dark yellow leachate are flowing to underground water, and as well as soil and the streams. And what might happen later is poisoning ecosystems and harming wildlife. So it can take bottle number 1 and agonizing 1,000 years to decompose. So agonizing means very painful. So try to imagine that if you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you might feel really painful in heart, heartbroken, right? So that is the feeling. But imagine that if you are like disposing a plastic bottle in the landfill, it might take the bottle like 1,000 years to decompose. It's quite hard to imagine, right? Okay, so I will end here because this is the end of our part 2, the life of the first plastic bottle. I'll see you later in part 3. Hello, welcome back to part 3. And now we are going to talk about bottle number 2 and the number 3's lives. And then after that, we will do some reflection to the article and the video. And the first new words from this paragraph is massive. Massive. Massive refers to a very large in size, amount, or number. So you can look at the first sentence. They have a massive house, means their house is really big. And number 2, she died after taking a massive overdose of drugs. So which means a large amount of drugs. And number 3, if the drought continues, deaths will occur in a massive scale. Okay, so here massive scale means a large number of people are going to die. Next word is vortex. 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 Vortex means a mass of air or water that spins around very fast and pulls objects into its empty center. So in our house, probably you can see 2 kinds of vortex. One is in the washing machine. So when the washing machine is washing your clothes, you can try to observe inside. It is having a vortex to make your clothes clean. And the second place to see a vortex in your house is in the bathroom. When you flush the toilet, you can see the water have spins around and very fast. Yeah, so you can try to observe it as well. And it can also used to be described dangerous or bad situation in which you become more and more involved and from which you cannot escape. Okay, so you can look at the sentence here. I was sucked into a vortex of despair. Okay, so next word, accumulate. Accumulate is a verb which means to gradually increase in number or amount. So if you don't clean your house for a long time, you will see a thick layer of dust had accumulated in the room. Okay. And the second sentence, if you don't go through the papers on your desk on a regular basis, they just keep on accumulating. Yeah, so accumulate could be in a good way. For example, you can accumulate a lot of fortune if you work hard. But on the other hand, you can also accumulate some negative things. So if you are being lazy, you accumulate like a lot of like tasks for you to waiting for you to become accomplished. And next word is patch. Patch. Patch means a small piece of material sewn or stuck over something to cover it. So if you find that there's a hole on your jeans, then you can say the sentence like this: I'll have to sew a patch onto these jeans. They're ripped at the knee. Okay, so let's take a look at the bottle number 2's journey. Bottle 2's journey is stranger, but unfortunately no happier. So after reading bottle number 1's journey, we know that it takes like 1,000 years for bottle number 1 to decompose in the landfill. But for bottle number 2, its life is flowing on the river. So it's not even happier than bottle number 1. He floats on a trickle, then reaches a stream that flows into a river, and a river that reaches the ocean. So here you can see the comparison of the size of the rivers. The smallest river, we might call it a trickle. And the mid-size of river, we might call it a stream. And a bigger size of the river, we call it a river. And then all the water in the river will flow into the ocean. Okay, so trickle, stream, and river. After months lost at sea, he slowly drawn into a massive vortex where trash accumulates, a place unknown as Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Okay, so massive, we were just talk about that, which means very big. And vortex is spinning water. Okay, so plastic bottle 2 might follow the vortex into the sea, and then not only the plastic bottles, there are also some trash that might sucked into the massive vortex. So more and more trash might accumulate, and this is outside of the land. It is on the ocean. So we will call it the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And the new words for next paragraph, the first one is current. Current. Current, probably the first meaning is referring to now or present time. But there's another meaning for current is the movement of water, air, or electricity in a particular direction. So if you are describing the water, we might call it water current. And if you describe in the air, we call it air current. And electricity current in the electricity wire as well. So we can look at the sentence number 2. He was swept out to sea by the strong current. So please be careful when you are having like a tour outdoor around the rivers. Maybe down in the rivers there are some strong currents which might be very dangerous. You might be sucked into the current. And then the third sentence you can see here: switch off the electric current before changing the bulb. Okay, so we will have the chances to change the bulb, So remember, you have to switch off the electricity so that you won't get like buzzed. Okay. And next one is debris. Debris. Debris means broken or torn pieces of something larger. So it is a little pieces from the bigger thing. Okay. And the sentence here says debris from the aircraft was scattered over a large area. So if something crashed, like car accidents, that you will see a lot of debris on the ground. Okay. Next one is gyre. Gyre. Gyre is a geographical term which means a circular pattern of ocean currents, which is equivalent to the flows of water in a particular direction. Okay, so look at the sentence here. The area is one of the world's 5 major ocean gyres, huge systems of rotating currents. Okay, so this is the background knowledge for you. We have 5 major ocean gyres on the Earth, and they are also rotating currents. So you might see they bring some kind of trash or fish everywhere because of the gyres. So in some way, gyres are also equivalent to ocean currents. Okay, so look at the map here first. We were talking about like 5 major gyres. So you can see there are some major oceans like the Pacific Oceans and Atlantic Oceans, Indian Ocean, yeah. And then there are also eastern and the western part of the ocean, northern part and southern part of the oceans. So those are the gyres that might accumulate a lot of trash and discarded plastic products. Okay, so here, look at the text here. Here, the ocean's currents have trapped millions of pieces of plastic debris. This is one of 5 plastic-filled gyres in the world's seas, places where the pollutant turned the water into a cloudy plastic soup. So the gyres might bring the trashes together and make it like a pile, trash piles. So there are several piles locating in different places on the oceans. As you can see, there are 2 gyres in the Pacific Ocean and the 2 in the Atlantic Ocean and the 1 in South Pacific gyre. Okay. So try to imagine that those are the places that you could see trash piles, and when you are doing your snorkeling activity or scuba diving, you might see those trash flowing with you, swimming with you, which means you are like swimming in the plastic soup. Sounds really gross, right? Okay. And here is the photo that could describe the Pacific garbage like gyres. As you can see the photo on the left hand side. Can you imagine that? the ocean is not that blue anyways. There are also some discarded trash, furnitures, or leaves, or plastic products floating on the ocean. And look at the right hand side. Maybe some marine animals, they will like mistake those trash as their food and they eat it, or they are being trapped by the fishing nets. Okay, so let's continue to get to know the new words for the next paragraph. Entangle. Entangle. Entangle means to cause something to become caught in something such as a net or ropes. Okay, so you can see the first sentence here. The dolphin had become entangled in or with the fishing nets. So the dolphin should be swimming happily in the ocean, but somehow there are some gyres which accumulate a lot of trash, including fishing nets together, and the dolphin had been entangled, which means it is being trapped in the fishing nets. Okay, so a lot of tragedy will happen because of these gyres. So some animals like seabirds get entangled in the mess. Okay, when seabirds are trying to hunt some fish from the surface of the ocean, then at the moment when the birds reach on the surface, it is entangled by the mass like the fishing nets. So they and the others mistake the brightly colored plastic bits for food. Plastic makes them feel full when they are not. So actually, they eat something that is not supposed to be food, but instead of like plastic bits or some trash. So they starve to death and pass the toxins from the plastic up the food chain. Okay. So as you can see the example in the video, the lanternfish eat some micro plastic in the ocean, and then the squid might eat the lanternfish, and then the tuna eat the squid, and finally the human beings are eating the tuna fish. And next, there are also some new words. For this one is biodegrade. Biodegrade. It is quite similar to decompose, but for this one is to decay naturally in a way that is not harmful. Okay, so some of the plastics are designed to biodegrade when their useful life is over. So you can see nowadays some of the plastic bag, some of the plastic products, their textures are more softer. So it is easier to be biodegraded. Okay. Next one is rotate. Rotate. Rotate is to turn or cause something to turn in a circle, especially around a fixed point. Okay, so please look at the first sentence. Rotate the handle by 180 degrees to open the door. The second one, the wheel rotates around an axle. The third one, the satellite slowly rotates as it circles the Earth. So the best description for you to imagine what what does rotate means? You can imagine that the satellite from outer space, it is rotating our Earth, like making circles. Okay. So this is the example I just mentioned from the video. For example, it is eaten by lanternfish. So the "it's" here means the plastic bits, the little pieces that the lanternfish are eaten by squid. The squid are eaten by tuna, and the tuna are eaten by us. So finally, those plastic bits might go back to our stomach. And most plastic don't biodegrade, which means they are destined to break down into smaller and smaller pieces called microplastics. So when you are swimming in the ocean and you see some beautiful you might imagine that is it like a treasure or is it like a gem because it is colorful and beautiful, but probably the thing you see in the ocean are those things called microplastics. Okay, so which might rotate in the sea eternally. So within the water currents in the ocean, the microplastic might rotate and rotate and rotate in the sea eternally. Okay. Next, we were going to talk about bottle number 3's life. The first word is purgatory. Purgatory. Purgatory is a place to which Roman Catholics believe that the spirits of dead people go and they suffer for the evil acts that they did when they were alive before they are able to go to heaven. So purgatory, in other words, you can say similar to hell, but I think you might suffer more in a purgatory than in a hell. Okay, so if you want to describe you are having an extremely unpleasant experience that causes suffering, you can also use this word. For example, I've been on a diet for 2 weeks now. It's a purgatory. Okay. Hopefully you won't have this kind of situation. And the other word is called shred. Shred. To shred something is to make something into a very small, thin piece that has been torn from something. Okay? So you can see the first example here. Cut the radishes into shreds to garnish the plates. Okay. Radish is, in other words, is the carrots. Okay. And shred is the way we cut the carrots. And garnish means to decorate. Okay. So some of the decorations on the sides of the plates, we will use this kind of skills to decorate the food. Okay, so now it's the journey of battle number 3. But battle 3 is spared the cruel purgatories of his brothers. Okay, he is separated and into a very cruel place, which is called purgatory. Apart from his 2 brothers. A truck brings him to a plant where he and his companions are squeezed flat and compressed into a block. So as you can see the left hand side, the upper one, it is squeezed flat and compressed into a block. Block means the square here, you see. And block also means like from the first traffic light to the second traffic light, there's a base. Okay, so sometimes when we say you can go straight for 2 blocks and you will see a 7-Eleven on your right hand side. So block also has another meaning of that. Okay, but here it means a square thing. Okay, this sounds pretty bad because being compressed and into a block might be very painful, right? But hand in layer, okay, so try to hand in, it gets better, the situation will going better. The blocks are shredded into tiny pieces, so just like what we mentioned about the garnish stuff by the carrots, so we shredded the block into small pieces, and then they will be washed and melted. Okay, so they become the raw material that can be used again. So they are going to reproduce some plastic products by recycling it. And this is the process, being compressed into block, and then being shredded into tiny pieces, and then being washed, being melted. So they become the raw materials, like the pellet we were talking about, so that they can become the raw material to reproduce some new products later. And for the last paragraph, there's a phrase for you to know: the sky's the limit. Okay, so can you see the end of the sky? No, right? Can you see where is the ending line of the sky? No. So when you talk about the sky's the limit, which means there is no limit. Okay, the sky's the limit to what you can win in our competition. Okay, so for the last few lines here, as if by magic, Bottle 3 is now ready to be reborn as something completely new. So bottle number 3, although it was being tortured, like being compressed, like being shredded and melted, but it is the normal way to recycle a plastic bottle. So it is ready to be reborn as something completely new because people are making new stuff by recycling it. Okay? For this bit of plastic with such humble origins, suddenly the sky is the limit. So humble here means not very pride. Humble means it is from very like little places, not very famous origins. But suddenly, when we recycle it and make it a new product, and then it becomes really very useful plastic bottles. So we might call that this kind of process is the sky is the limit. There's no limit for the plastic bottles if we recycle it well. So let's talk about some SDGs. As you know, there are 17 sustainable development goals. So for this topic, there are 2 goals that we can be aware of, is goal number 12 and the goal number 14. Goal number 12 talks about responsible consumption and production. So I think it's our responsibilities for human beings to reduce plastics waste, and also we can try to reuse them and as well as recycle them. So by 2030, this is the goal for everyone to reduce plastic waste by 50%. And for the goal of 14, life below water. So by reducing a lot of plastic waste, then the ocean will become cleaner. So that by doing that, we can also protect a lot of marine ecosystems from plastic pollutions. Okay, so here are some reflections. What can we do to help reduce the plastic pollutions? The first one is switch to reusable water bottles. I know a lot of students, they are using their own water bottles instead of buying a lot of mineral water from the convenience stores. Like just like me, I have my reusable water bottles with me anywhere, anytime, so that I can do some good job on reducing the consuming the plastic products. And the second one is support policies promoting plastic waste reduction. And the third one is advocate for cooperate responsibility in sustainable packaging. Okay, for example, when you are buying something from online stores, you can tell them to pack your stuff with the last packaging process and using as little as plastic packaging for your products, so that you can save a lot of like energy and help to advocate our sustainable policies. Okay, so this is the end of the uh, online section. Thank you for joining us. And there are also some questions for you to answer. Please look at the questions and answer them. Thank you for your watching.